All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Behind the Counter. I'm your host, Rich Stamboli, and with me, as always, the man that gravity forgot, Jonathan Adler.
Yes.
Thank you, Gravity.
Remember me, Gravity.
What's going on?
Not a whole lot, man.
Yeah,
What's going on with you?
still nothing.
Nothing?
I think I have allergies.
I know I have allergies.
For once in my life, I think I'm just like completely miserable this week.
This
Like,
week has been terrible.
I think I'm dying.
I am dying.
Yeah,
That's why I came on the show today to tell you guys I am dying.
it sucks.
I am dead.
The ghost of Jonathan Adler.
Not really here.
Have you played? I think I asked you this before. Have you played a Dark Room?
Yeah, I did. After you reminded me what it was, I got really far in the game.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to beat?
291 minutes. It tells you at the end. That's not in my brain, or I'm like, I have a stopwatch.
I wonder if I've spent more time doing that. Because I want to explore the entire map.
It got really addicting,
Mm-hmm.
and I beat it today. And after you beat it, like the end of the game is awesome.
Spaceship, right?
And yeah, but it's I don't want to give spoilers or anything because this is a spoiler alert. It's a very unique game because
It's an iOS game.
yeah, it's like an iOS game. It's called
Dark Room.
A Dark Room. It's like an independent game that was ported over from PC, I think.
Really?
From like a web-based game. But it was like the same concept, except like the iOS game has a little more features in it, and also it's one of the I don't know if it's the only game or what that if you're blind you could play it. Because of the features.
The features, yeah.
Because of the features on the phone with the vibration and the.
How would you do
and
the map then?
headphones. Braille. There's like Braille adjustments that you can get for it. It's really fascinating because when you beat the game, there's like maybe 20 pre-recorded things from the developers that tell you like why they picked that for the story, like what's the deal with this, like what's the deal with.
Did you make everyone slaves?
What happened? That happens regardless.
No matter what.
No matter what, I think that
I
happens
tried because
regardless.
I think that's why I stopped playing the games because I made my people into slaves.
Yeah,
And I felt bad about it, so I started over again. Like, what am I going to do to not make this happen?
that has something to do with the overall story, and it's really because like
Their people are slaves.
because the whole yeah, like the whole thing is like it's supposed to it was this immersive adventure.
Tell me the ending. Tell me
that-
I'm never going to pick it up
You
again.
want me to tell you the ending?
Yeah.
The whole thing is that you're the person that you find is a builder, and you basically
In the beginning of the game
in the
with
beginning of
the
the game.
cave or whatever.
right, and
Yeah.
she has and like when you send your guy out on quests and that person dies, she's basically bringing that person back
Back to life. Yeah.
every time, and it takes like a little bit out of her,
Right.
and then you build this community, and she's like, don't do anymore, and then that's all of a sudden it's like you have 80 slaves working for you, and you start getting like work harder.
Yeah.
The whole thing is that you're a part of this race, from what I gathered, because I think there's like a little ambiguity towards the end. You're part of this war-torn on like Earth, let's say, and everything's post-apocalyptic, but you're the bad guy, and it's your fault. And you're this race of aliens that they're called the Wanderers, because everybody who you meet is like, met a Wanderer here, I gave him this, and he gave me this, right? So yeah, you meet these Wanderers, and then you're and nothing's capitalized, so it's like kind of interesting. And then you figure out like when you go into towns later on, you're killing children. Like, angry child attacks me with a rock, and you like stab him, and you're like,
Oh, because you're the bad guy. They're attacking you.
right, like another one dead. And every time you see a soldier attack you, they're shooting you out of fear, not because you're trying to get somewhere and they're protecting something. So like you find fragments of like a ship and start getting like these alloys, and you're building like a society. And the chick leaves, and you're left with her locket and a spaceship. So you have to like pump up the spaceship enough to like basically take yourself to like another planet
And do the same thing
all over again. It's really nuts. Like
good.
For such a simply
Good narrative for a little game.
right, for like such a simply produced game, it's amazing.
I felt the same way about Angry Birds.
Yeah. Yo, these birds are so angry right now.
And Star Wars now?
I love Star Wars Angry Birds. I have
Me
them
too.
all on my phone, and I have like a weird. Somebody gave me like a lot of money for like iTunes
I had the
one
same
year,
thing.
and I still think I have like $20 left. So if I see something that's like, oh, it's like $2, well, I'm buying this.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? I got all the Angry Birds Star Wars.
I have a massive game collection on my phone right
Do
now.
you?
Because I use Spotify, so I don't have to worry about the music taking up any room on there.
Cool.
So I have a lot of like games that I've paid like $3 for, $5 for like cards and stuff that I'm waiting to play.
The Spotify thing's interesting, but it doesn't have a lot of the stuff I like.
It's got I've really never hit a wall when it comes to searching for something.
Mm-hmm. Is that where you found the surf music?
Yeah. I found a Japanese surf rock guy, who's awesome. Like all the stuff was great, but because a lot of the stuff that comes out of like Discover, like if you discover the music and like whatever you listen to, they kind of find trends. But I just like it having that massive selection. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. I was very anti it when it first came out, but
my wife was like, she jumped on right away, and awesome. Like she's just like, oh, it's on Spotify. I always forget the password, but she's made some good playlists on there. If you're just tuning in, this is the show about comic books and all things pop culture,
and apps today.
And it's just funny too because like I started the show talking about like the most simplest game where this past week was E3 and they're debuting mind-blowing technology in your face all day, every day. Did you watch the new Metal Gear trailer for Phantom Pain?
I saw a really bootleg version of it that was like 110p. If that exists.
I made the mistake of watching that first thing like Monday or Tuesday in the morning, like at 5:00 in the morning. I was like, oh man, new Metal Gear trailer. It is the most depressing thing you'll friggin' see.
I played the demo, the Ground Zero stuff. I hated it. Like, I'm Metal Gear, love it to death. I absolutely hated it. The ending sucked. It should have been part of the regular game. Yeah. It would have functioned much better as a tutorial level. But I'm so friggin' hyped for the rest of it. Like, I want to see this dude transform into Big Boss.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, man. It's so.
Did he always have that crap coming out of his head, like that spike thing that he has?
You know what? I was thinking about that because like he gets caught in an explosion in the trailer, and then like all of a sudden it's like sticking out of his head. But he has like later on he has like two things that cover it up, I think. So he's like something lodged in his brain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because remember the way they originally pitched this as the Phantom Pain, where it was like a story about a guy trying to escape from a hospital,
right,
and having visions of a gigantic whale. We still have all that coming in the game as well. I think I like the fact that they ended the Solid Snake storyline because that kind of went to the extent that it could. The guy's an old man, whatever.
Metal Gear 4,
yeah.
And he's free.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you're kind of drawing to a close with the prequel stuff because I found that to be my favorite stuff. Like, I was a big fan of Peace Walker. I wish they put all the other mini game, the PSP stuff on the regular, whatever. But I'm so psyched to see this like guy transform into this war monster,
Big Boss. Yeah, I was trying to explain the whole Metal Gear thing to my wife yesterday, where it's not just a cool dude. It's not like a cool visual. It's Hideo Kojima's weird, like almost 20-year long thing trying to explain like how the world's gonna eat itself because of politics and war, and how soldiers are basically gonna take over countries instead of countries taking over other countries with their soldiers. And it's like, and this is I think this is gonna be the most tragic one because they're all tragic. They're all sad. The ending of 4 was great. That was like the only happy ending you're gonna get. And this one, I think you just get to see Big Boss get like really screwed up. Yeah. And I think you're probably gonna get some Snake stuff in this too.
Well, yeah, I think this is leading up to him discovering about the cloning stuff, or him starting the cloning stuff. They show him fighting a little kid in the commercial, the thing, and that's supposed to be Liquid Snake. I'm really looking forward to it.
Great voice talents too, man. Kiefer Sutherland.
Well, that's why. Boss. Well, so I think the reason I agree with you on the Snake stuff because I think that's why they have Kiefer Sutherland on as Naked Snake because they're gonna have David Hayter do the Solid Snake stuff,
the clone Snake stuff. It would be cool if it ends on
that meeting,
and
handing him an envelope says you're needed.
Yeah. If it ends on the beginning of Metal Gear Solid, and Snake going to the island. Yeah. Phenomenal stuff. The Diamond Dogs.
Yeah.
Ocelot. Somebody, I think Troy Baker, who's done like voices of like our two favorite games in the past year, is in, I want to say he's Ocelot.
Yeah, they show Ocelot.
Yeah.
Coach. I know it's not a demo, but it could have very well been the demo.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't. I understand like the argument is that it's you can constantly replay it and get like unlocks secret stuff and anything, but in playability. It felt so trapped by the stuff they've done 100 times over. It's him sneaking around an army base.
Yeah.
I know there's more to the series than that.
Yeah, it's the thing that's gonna drive me up a wall is that I already know that they're gonna do the double release later on.
Mm.
You know, because I really have no intention of picking up Ground Zeroes.
Mm.
You know, it's just like the game budget isn't what it used to be. You know, what I
$20
mean?
for that thing was a little bit much.
Right? Like it's that's what I keep hearing from people.
And I struggled through it, and I was like, I was so psyched about it because it's Metal Gear stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like, it felt like a money grab. And I usually don't say that. Like, I'm usually pretty happy with DLCs, and I feel like this was like a DLC in reverse.
Okay.
Um,
Should have been cheaper
yeah, I'm happy
or
with
free.
Yeah, I'm happy with that being, instead of doing that, come out with an awesome DLC down the line for $15.
Yeah.
You know, instead of that, because I know that the theory with DLC is always that's to remove content that they didn't really want to do. I like to see DLC and stuff like that is made to be its own entity, that is enhancing experience.
Like what they do with GTA or Mass Effect or
Absolutely.
you know, Red Dead Redemption
Yeah,
is another one. You know,
they feel like complete works.
Mhm. There's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon if you're a gamer too, because you're getting more like The Witcher stuff, which blew my mind. 'Cause I had no idea about this.
I have the second one because it was free a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
I played a little bit of it. I just because I got a bunch of games that time.
Mhm.
I loved what I played.
Yeah.
I wish I can get my hands on the first one. So I
Okay.
get the whole story.
And there's a couple of more things. Mortal Kombat 10 looks friggin' awesome.
I'm really psyched about the new game from Software.
Mhm.
The guys who did the Dark Souls and Demon Souls stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm so hyped about that stuff.
You're into
right
the
now.
Dark Souls.
Love Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I went back. I don't think I've ever done this.
Mhm.
Is I played Dark Souls 2. I already played Demon Souls and Dark Souls.
Mhm.
But after I was done with Dark Souls 2, I went back and I played Dark Souls 1 from scratch.
Yeah.
No new game plus or anything like that. I went back and I made a new character, and it's still so awesome.
You know what's great about it? I haven't done that in a while.
Mm.
I think the last game I did that with was the first Mass Effect,
Mm.
where like I beat it and then just like played it through again.
Yeah.
The cool thing about doing that is it takes you way less long to do it the second time
It takes
around.
me much longer.
Really?
Because the first time the thing about Dark Souls, it's so awesome. Aside from like the setting and like it doesn't hold your hand at all.
Okay.
Like there's no tutorial. You might not know how something works, and they tell you very bare minimum, and you have to kind of figure it out just by trying stuff out.
Okay.
There's secrets in the game that you would never find out if you didn't read something about it, and like the level building is lengthy.
Yeah.
Because you like when you have an RPG, when you do when you level up, you can throw your points in certain places,
Yeah.
but overall you don't really go up. This you really every time you go up in a level, you have to manually do one hit on like your strength.
I like
And that's
that.
it. And that's
Yeah.
it. Like, that's all you get for that chance.
Mhm.
So if you can only do strength, you only do dexterity. But the look of the game is great, and it's
Yeah.
night stuff. Like I love that crap.
I got it down. Is it still free? The
Yeah,
first one?
I think it's over either tomorrow or Saturday.
Yeah.
because they're doing they're getting ready for the next one.
I didn't see the GTA port over.
Oh my god!
It's amazing, right?
Yeah,
Oh
like
my god.
because GTA 5 looks great as it is on the regular consoles, and even like the pre-development stuff that is obviously on another machine aside from Xbox 360.
Right.
This looks so great, so detailed and full. Like they showed full on like traffic, bumper to bumper. They showed like what's his name? What's his name?
Trevor.
No,
Franklin.
Franklin.
Mhm.
Like walking through like Compton, and like there's so much going on. Like the streets are filled like a block party.
That's amazing.
And the level of detail, like the grass, like
Yeah.
all the mountains have been redone and add more grass and stuff to it. It's really, really pretty.
Apparently, I may have been like not 100% correct,
Mhm.
but you can either port over your save data from another console,
Mm.
or port over your online save data from another console.
Well, yeah, because you're connected to the Rockstar Network, and all your stuff is kind of there,
Yeah.
saved up. I if I do get I will get a next generation
Mhm.
system, but when I do, I'd probably pick that up.
I'm
again.
gunning for the PS4.
I'm going for that
I
too.
think Xbox kind of screwed up a little bit in the respect that they pulled a PS3
Mm.
where they're going through a year and a half of garbage,
Mhm.
and the fact that they dropped Connect for the most part with like developers isn't like
Well, the thing that's interesting is that through E3 now, you're getting a lot of people who have been working on software for next generation for a long time, especially for PS4. Like the guy who does the Dark Souls stuff, he was approached after Dark Souls 1 came out to begin doing work on the next generation game.
Yeah.
So since then, like say 4 years ago, he's been working on that type of stuff. I don't think Xbox gave the opportunity to people beyond people who made like Titanfall and the Bungie people beyond.
Right,
Like
yeah.
really big titles. Nintendo had a good year too.
Yeah,
Nintendo had
they
a really
did.
good reveal.
See, I'm like, that's the thing, man. Like, I'm super iffy on. I'm like, is it too late to get a Wii U at this point?
Yes.
What were you
Yeah.
excited for Nintendo?
New Zelda,
Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers,
Smash Brothers looks good. Zelda looks great.
the Toad game.
Is the Toad game going to be an extension or its own game? Like how they had the Luigi game.
Its own game.
And I keep hearing Mario Kart 8 is the greatest thing
Yeah.
on earth.
I heard nothing good about that.
Nothing but good.
But good.
Nothing good about it.
Nothing good.
But good.
What was the other thing that they revealed on that? Anyway, but like I feel like there was it was more of a showcase on how awesome this stuff looks.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember that. I can't really tell you like all the games that came out because I think it's still going on.
I'm not sure.
Because I
think
know
it might
stuff
end
is still
tomorrow.
trickling in, but like I don't think Microsoft really had a big like Destiny was the thing that they unveiled.
Yeah, they had like they kind of flopped this year. Sony kind of owned it like they usually do. Sony owned it last year too. Did you see the trailer for this? I think it's We Own the Skies or The Skies Are Ours.
No.
It looks ridiculous. If I
What
can
is it?
remember the name of the game, it's a half flight simulator, half like planet to planet expedition. You have to go.
Ooh, I
from,
think I
like-
heard about this. I didn't think I saw the footage from it.
Trailer's ridiculous. It's you're on foot on this planet and you're like looking at different stuff and you're scanning different things and you see like all these like alien dinosaurs and then all of a sudden you see like a giant dinosaur just like rampaging through the forest and it's like heading at you. You jump in your spaceship, you launch into outer space, like no load, no cutaway. You're flying through the atmosphere, you're into space, you see spaceships docking with each other, you see a dogfight, you get into a dogfight and then you land on a different planet and get out and just start walking
It's
around.
crazy.
It
Is that
looks
what you have to
phenomenal.
develop? Like you have to go to different planets and develop like the ecosystem and everything.
I think so.
Yeah, I heard about that a while ago. I think it was supposed to come out for like one of these systems. They just held it off too.
Looks beautiful.
There's gonna be a lot of good stuff.
I know, man.
The thing is, when they first premiered the technology, I think that they were very much focusing on like the detail level,
Mhm.
and we've seen a lot of that already. Like we've seen like awesome detail. We've seen like pretty much human level detail.
Yeah.
It's when you start looking at stuff like Last of Us that utilizes more in the scenery. I
Yeah.
think that's where we're gonna see much more focus. You can populate a lot on your screen, more on your screen than you can, on these other systems. You see the limitations of it at this
Yeah.
at this age.
Yeah, that's what I want too. Like I like whenever I go on like gaming websites and I use did I turn you on to Flipboard at all? Or
Mhm.
have you used Flipboard?
I never use Flipboard.
Download Flipboard. It's an app for your phone.
Mm.
And what it does is like you can populate the app with stuff you like and feeds that you like.
Mm.
Including like
It's like a reader.
including your
Yeah.
Twitter and your Facebook. But all you do is like you click on gaming and it just like flips a page
Mhm.
and it goes to every single story that's populated by like Kotaku, IGN, all the gaming websites, and same thing with like movies, film, television. You could stay if you're a news. I know you're an information
Yeah,
guy.
I am an information guy.
It'll be the greatest thing in the world. But anyway, so like I was flipping through it and I saw like they'll always post like the comparisons between
Oh yeah.
your current generation consoles and then your next gen consoles, and it's like a lot of the stuff is mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they showed the Last of Us back and forth between the two of them, and the detail levels are slight, but they make such a big difference in terms of how awesome it looks.
Yeah.
It like it's something that you're gonna just have to see in motion. You're gonna have to get used to. It looks so good.
Can't wait.
No, what's crazy too is that like when this was all happening, the big release was gonna be Watch Dogs, and it fizzled.
Yeah, well,
Got a tub review.
what's the company that puts out Watch Dogs?
It's either Ubisoft or EA.
I think it was Ubisoft. I want to say Ubisoft, but that's
Ubisoft.
like I read an interesting article about how if they play their cards right after this launch, it could be competition for GTA because of just like the physics that are in the game. But on the downside, they want to pump out a game every year, whereas they can't build anticipation like Rockstar.
Yeah.
You can't beat Rockstar for games.
No, Rockstar is in the unique position like Ken Levine, where you can wait 100 years for a game and you'll always pick up that game.
Right.
Watchdog is an IP that no one knows about. Looked
Mhm.
really cool on the surface, but like the first week you started seeing like the about the mirrored buildings, like the
Mhm.
glass, like there's reflection on it, but it reflects something that's totally different behind you.
Okay.
It just populates something that's completely different in a different scene. And they came over like, you know how hard it is to do mirrors. That's why people don't do mirrors. Like, but yeah, but you're doing like really stupid stuff that we notice now.
Right.
So I think what got more press last week was freaking Wolfenstein, which I'm psyched for.
Oh, you didn't pick it up yet? No. That the trailer looks awesome for it.
Yeah.
I'm so behind on gaming, much like comics. But let's talk some comics, man. Talk to me about Bryan Singer.
Ooh. Well, we saw this coming. Those boys saw him coming too.
We speculated, we joked about it.
Yeah. Before X-Men came out, and even before that, most of Bryan Singer's career, he's been defending himself against accusations of sexual misconduct with children, engaging with the stuff, the dirty bits. And he's denied the rumors, and he's got a lot of people back on his side and everything. But the last news of the controversy came out right before the movie dropped, like a week before the movie was released. X-Men: Days of Future Past was released. And now, like, it was I loved the movie. I thought it was great. I was definitely a Bryan Singer hater. I'm a believer. But now it looks like Fox is like, you know what? I don't know if it's really a good idea to have a multi-accused pedophile directing our X-Men movies.
Or not so much. What was the case in this one? Was it like an underage kid? Or was it just like the Hollywood party stuff that you hear about?
Both.
Like,
I mean, it's both. It's still it's an underage. It's a party atmosphere with little boys.
It's a shame. I just looked it up online real quick, and there's like a quote that says like Fox never all they cared about was the bottom line.
Yeah,
they don't care about what this guy does. They just want like the X-Men money to come in.
Singer was really concerned about the bottom line, also the boys' bottom line.
Oh,
the butt crack.
That's a shame, man. That's a huge shame, especially after like, the movie did so well, and it's a phenomenal friggin'
awesome
movie. And like this dude may fade into like obscurity, or just have like a tarnished career after this.
The way that he's been painted, it's very much a sexual Dracula. It's like him and his boys are like a team, or like sexual Draculas.
Yeah, I've heard those stories before, but again, like you're not in the middle of it. You never know.
It's him and he was an apprentice to Joel Schumacher, who was supposedly the all-time greatest monster.
He was the biggest one.
Yeah, because he was the one. Supposedly, he was the one that really screwed up Corey Feldman and Corey Haim.
Okay,
he was the monster.
Oh, it's so weird.
The boogeyman.
Like that's the weird thing about these stories is that like you never know the truth of them, and like some of this stuff will never come out because you'll always have people who fight against it so hard, like all that, and like all the Terry Richardson allegations, like all those.
I read a testimonial from one of the models that got touched up. Like she was just starting out, and Terry Richardson. For those who don't know, Terry Richardson is a really gross photographer that does great work.
Yeah, that he established that style of photography.
The Vice way of shooting, the black and white,
overly exposed background.
And it looks good. It does have a certain aesthetic to it it's like rock and roll photography for everything else.
Right, yeah.
And he's always been accused of, I think proven also, that he is a sexual deviant when it comes to these women and boys. And that he was this one model was saying like, oh, I went over his house, and he's like, there's like a woman there, and it's like, don't worry, we like won't do anything strange or anything, but we're gonna try some different stuff out. And she was like doing a pose like against the wall, and he started eating her butt.
Yeah,
and the woman that was there, which like his assistant, was like, is this like saying to her, is this okay? Is it okay if Terry eats your butt right now? And he's like, I guess it's okay if he eats my butt right now.
I guess
I do want the money that you promised me when I came over your apartment.
That's the most insane thing ever.
It's such an insane thing because he'll get like accused of all this stuff, and then
still get work,
and then he'll have like, if you follow him on Twitter or Instagram, it's like pictures of him hanging out with like Jax from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, everybody.
Like, hey, I'm not really like.
And everyone likes him. Everyone seems to be having a great time with this, taking pictures with this weird guy.
Exactly, and then like, because you never know those like who's the person that alleged this, like what's their connection.
What's their stakes in this whole
is it like
thing?
Is it like preying on fame, like the first Elmo allegation was the same thing, like this guy who was just like, yeah, this guy like touched me, and that was like unfounded.
Do you think that was a situation where Elmo, because his name doesn't, I don't call it,
let's call him Elmo.
Elmo Man, do you think Elmo Man was that he preyed on boys, or he just happened to fall in love with a guy that happened to be underage?
I think that was it. I honestly think
It happened to
like,
be a mistake that he just got caught up in.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Because that's nowadays with the sexual freedom that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
I think that's a big threat that you have going out there.
Yeah, but you also have like fame is such a weird thing now where everybody gets more than their 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of this stuff now is just like, you know what, like I'm gonna if Kim Kardashian can get famous by having Ray JP on her, like I can get
pee on her.
I can get
You didn't pee
money.
on her. Not on camera.
I can get money, and I can get
Oh yeah.
whatever from like I'll say this dude touched me, I'm gonna take his money.
Sell your soul. Like look at what's his name from Teen Mom is getting banged in the butt by porno guys.
Like right from the go, that's
Yeah.
how it starts.
Farrah, whatever her name, Farrah
Yeah.
Abraham, I think her name is.
Yeah.
And that other one, the Duke University girl, who is Belle Knox, who's now a full blown porn star.
Tequila.
Tequila, who's now a white supremacist.
Is she?
Yeah,
Wow.
she a few months ago. I don't know how I stumbled on this, but a few months ago, she came forward and she came out like on Twitter as a big supporter of white supremacy,
Mhm.
and like talking about how like the Jews are screwing up Hollywood.
That's insane.
Were you part of the network when I got into my feud with her?
No,
No.
Oh,
definitely
you
not.
missed it.
That was like the MySpace
She,
days.
she didn't know. She did a show with Chauncey.
Were
It was
you-
on
you
Chauncey's show.
I think you've told me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you?
I called her the C word.
Did
The,
you?
the worst
Yeah.
word.
The
Were you
worst
cutting
word.
promos on her every week?
I did it. I called her a dumb C
In
in
your-
front of
in your
TMZ.
feud?
Dumb C.
Nice. Armenian man
Why don't
calls
you
Tequila
walk outta
Tequila
here?
a dumb C.
But I think it's an interesting thing about like the how far we've come with like the way we look at sexual politics, especially in business. How much we're looking at gender equality and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and sexuality. But we had this time when like it was really like you saw the season of Mad Men, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, so like remember when that what's the guy who wanted to marry Joan, the gay guy?
Bob.
Bob,
the
Bob,
one
Bob,
that was in the
Bob
military.
Benson. Bob
Yeah.
Benson. No, he wasn't in the military. Bob Benson. Remember the episode he picked up his boy from Philly and like
Yeah.
he got the shit kicked out of him. It's like, how do you live your life here? There's so many temptations. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
getting
yeah.
the crap beaten out of me. Like it's like you're
Yeah.
putting your life on the line. I think it was interesting during that time. It was so closeted.
Mhm.
But then you had like the gay monsters who are like the gatekeepers of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like you casting couch people.
Yeah.
Who are
Yeah.
like living like Dionysus, who are just filling you with pills and boys, girls, give them to me.
Very Caligula.
Yeah, like a Liberace type.
It's so weird. And there's like so much, like everything's gonna implode at a certain point.
It's gonna come to the point. I'll tell you how what the nuclear bomb of all this is gonna be.
Mhm.
It's when Tom Cruise finally has no career. He leaves Scientology and he does the tell-all book talking about how he is a gay man
Allegedly.
alien. Yeah,
There's
gay man alien.
Yeah,
that-
allegedly.
that episode of South Park was on last night with you don't watch South Park. I
Mm-mm.
always forget this. There's one about Scientology
Really good.
where he runs away. He's in like one of the kids' houses. He runs away and he locks himself in a closet.
Mm.
And the whole episode is the other
Him trying to get out of
characters
the closet.
going like, "Tom Cruise, please come out of the closet. Would you please come out of the closet?" It's kind of
Yeah.
like the South Park thing.
Yeah,
Funny. It's me personally. I want to just read comic books and play video games and be left alone for the most part. If I can make money doing that, that'd be great.
yeah.
But I think it's like all the seedy stuff and all the weird, like I shouldn't say weird, but like a lot of like this interpolitical
Sex and power thing.
just is trickling into like fandom, and it's just something that wasn't there before. You know what I mean? Like as far as like the cosplay stuff goes, like the convention going stuff, like how popular this thing is. And, like,
Dudes will figure out a way to
Yeah.
make something creepy real fast, no matter what.
Oh
we
my
can
oh,
put
absolutely.
we can put our hands in the mashed potatoes and make that creepy.
Mhm. Absolutely, and it starts out like super innocent too. Where like I think like a Kid Loki thing started out very innocently, where like
Now you're a twink.
yeah, it was like, oh, I'm gonna cosplay like I'm a young like lesbian,
ambiguous
Right.
woman.
and I'm gonna cosplay as like Kid Loki. This is fun, awesome, cool.
And now I got to deal with a weird 50-year-old guy who's got to hang up about Loki and also has a
Exactly.
boner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really, and you see it too. Like I know because Comic-Con's approaching. I got approved for my at the beginning of the week. I didn't get approved for my Pro Pass, and then I sent them a stern email, and they approved me.
I'm doing mine, Andrew, next week.
Good,
You're gonna be such a hassle to do.
excellent. But you'll get like those dudes who,
But that's the way it's always been. I mean,
Yeah.
even from the Big Apple Con and even probably before that,
Yeah.
like there was this weirdo. Because like the like a retailer was a person in power back then.
Mhm.
Before there was Sony and Viacom being at Comic-Con.
Right.
Back in the day, like you were retailing, you had Spider-Man 1, you like were a weird dude, and we heard the first account stories
Right.
of how dirty the con life was.
And like that's an old school thing that's like getting phased. 2014, like there's no excuse for it, but that's like an old school thing that's phased out by just like bigger things where like if you were a business owner and you were a retailer and you were at a Comic-Con, for some reason you were like a boss and you could talk to people, you could talk down to every single person.
Yeah.
And that was the stigma of the comic book store owner who just berated everybody.
Well, because you were in a position of power. This was the only gateway for you to get this thing that's out there.
That you really want. That
Yeah,
you really,
like,
really
it's
want.
either subscriptions, going to a newsstand, or going to a comic book store and getting the books that you want.
Like a dude who's going to mess with you.
Yeah.
And that still exists, and it's a shame. You see that at Comic-Con, but you also see, and like there's no place for it too. Like, and we see this like at least 10 times every year with the dude who has his son who's like, "Hey son, take a picture with Supergirl. Hey, how can I take you home tonight?"
Oh yeah.
Hey, good thing my wife's not here.
Not the single dads, but like the dad bringing their kid over there is usually an opportunity just to while out. Because we're guilty of it also. Because we do go there for the ridiculousness of it all.
We go for the spectacle and because we love.
Yeah, but you're not just going there to
friggin'
follow, the girl that's dressed up like Princess Leia, follow her around for 2 hours.
We asked a lot of the girls like what their creepiest moment is, and we heard a lot of like really terrible horror stories. No, but we appreciate the eye candy and everything like that. But there's immediately, I think we draw a line when it crosses into like the weird guy syndrome.
Yeah,
because you have like I do feel bad for the girls every once in a while because they are human beings.
Psylocke.
and like that they are gonna get really hounded upon. At New York Comic Con,
and it's a shame.
It's a shame.
2014.
But at the same time, like we've talked about before, is like the weird, self entitlement that comes out of wearing a costume.
But it's the geek culture, right? I mean, like it's part of that whole entire thing. It's very misogynistic, considering it, a bunch of geeks.
But I think that's
very misogynistic. Women, the concept of what a woman is totally different from what like in reality is, and these are people that do not come in contact with that kind of women.
I think that's still like an old school thing that happens. But I think that they are getting out of that, but they're finding out new ways to be perverse about it.
Yeah.
And I think if you take any culture of men and put them in a place that they all enjoy the same thing, you're gonna get a lot of misogyny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing as if you take a bunch of women, and this may be very blanket statement overall, but if you take a bunch of women and put them in a room together, and they're more than likely to talk shit about their boyfriends or something like that. Sure. It's just the way it is. It's just like you find something to unite on.
I think in general the internet culture
is very much that.
It's very misogynistic and very like in the gaming world, right? It's the same as the comic world. In the gaming world, like you have now, there's a lot more women, a lot more girls that are gaming, and their entire gimmick is that they're hot.
Boobs.
They're hot girls that play video games.
Yeah, the camera's here.
Yeah, that's the entire thing. It's that they're hot and they're playing a video game, and all these guys watch. A lot of them watch, and a lot of them are that creepy fan that'll follow them. And then there's this entire thing where you wouldn't be watching her if she wasn't hot. Oh, I love how girls are now becoming gamers. It's like this weird boys club that they don't want to let them in.
The same thing with comic books.
Same exact thing. Yeah.
They with the cosplayers that don't have any type of personal interest in it, aside from being exposing themselves to a public forum. Like, that's what's his name was saying.
A lot of them don't know.
Tony Harris, when he was going off on like, oh, they have no place here because they don't even know who Huntress is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the internet, like I think especially the internet is where the birthplace of all that stuff. I mean, you're not going to Comic-Con unless you have an internet personality for the most part, or you have some type of internet presence. I think a big portion of like the internet right now is really gearing towards more misogyny and chauvinistic behavior, like the men's movement stuff, like the men's rights movement stuff. Is huge now.
It's really nuts, man.
All these shootings.
It's a counter thing towards feminism.
Well, I mean, they're always.
Are you talking about the alpha and the beta personality stuff?
Well, that's the serial daters and stuff. The pickup artists and stuff like that, which is ridiculous. No, but they have real men's rights movements that are like totally the opposing feminism, and we also have the incel people who we just had the shooting in L.A. That was an example of a person that has been integrated into a mindset that I'm lonely. I have a community of people that are also lonely, and they figure out a way to blame somebody else or hate that thing.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Because like I think,
and comic book people are natural complainers.
Oh yeah, in the social internet world, I think it's just it's kind of like a monkey wrench into society because and I feel like an old man for saying it, but it's the catalyst of maladjustment that happens because of all this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because
Is it maladjustment because of the internet or maladjustment because they're just weird people?
I think it's maladjustment because of the internet by everybody saying
it's
I have an
hell.
opinion and it's right.
I think
and
it's-
you're wrong.
I think it's both.
You know?
I think it's somewhat encouraged. This
That's-
hive style mindset,
But
right?
that's what
Like
I'm
if you look at it, you're absolutely right. Like you go onto these forums or you go onto this group, and it's going to be a bunch of people that have the same opinion as you, same people that
look
have the
at-
same social issues as you.
Look at it 15 years ago when the internet was just starting out. We didn't have things like you can identify I really am into, shoving tubes of toothpaste up my ass. You can find a
can
group
find
of
that.
people.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy. And I think also when you have because that was your niche 15 years ago. Like you only do that know about it, you couldn't talk about.
Right.
But now you have this private identity that you can now associate with that now becomes public. But I think because of those things, they're becoming so extreme.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a jerk off with each other, and they're just loving their stuff, and
Yeah.
it gets weirder. And I think that's why a lot of the the fetishes are getting weirder, and a lot of it is the hive mind mentality. They love, people love acceptance. We're in a society that really loves patting ourselves in the back. We want to feel important, entitled, and the whole nine.
I agree with that completely. There's my thing is I love wearing a wife beater made of peanut butter. And just walk
I
around
don't
the
like to
house.
show my nipples. All right.
Just walk around the house. So like the other side of the story is also, there's also another side of the story. I was on a gig a couple of weeks ago and I talked to a few lovely women who were cosplayers at one point, and it was just like a random thing that they showed up. It was BookCon and they showed up there. But they were saying that they're independent authors and they've done the opposite of the cosplay thing with guys, is that these women did romance books, and they were like, have you ever gone to any of these? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. She was like, it's the opposite effect where your booth babes are the romance novel hunks, and there's like middle-aged
Loving
women
it.
who are just like,
Fans.
come home with me. I will just come home with, just doing the opposite thing that it's
Right.
not, it doesn't have the attention that the Comic-Con stuff does.
I think it's a 50-50 mix. I think there's as many women that do that weird shit than as much as
Well,
guys
yeah.
do, but guys are more vocal about it, and now women are starting to become more vocal.
Well, I think
about
it's also because you're getting a shift in the gender wars at this point, where you're getting more like the 1950 is when they start voting.
Exactly.
There hasn't been a long time where they really had the freedoms that we've had. And I think we're at a point now where we're seeing that shift where there's more women in power. We're close to getting one president. We have the ability to, identify them as people of power. Look at Japan. I always looked at Japan as being the
it was
experimental.
1920.
Experimental. That's not true.
Yeah, women started voting in 1920.
Okay. Experimental society. I think they try out different stuff. Like they try out different, society norms that we're gonna eventually adapt. At this point, no one has sex, and women, most of single women, do not want to get married, and they go to hostess bars, where they meet hosts and they have drinks with them, and they may or may not have sex involved with them. I think that's where we're reaching, where we're getting to this circle jerk off with our own ideas and all this shit, and then we're just going to Ouroboros and just devour our own little all these pockets of people and kill each other.
Where everything's eating itself.
Yeah,
that
man.
makes me feel so old saying that, and I'm not old. I'm not an old
Not
man. Can we start the I'm not old movement?
I'm not old.
But
But so it is something that I think that because we do the wrestling show, we do this, and there's definitely similarities between the two worlds. But I think because we've never had an opportunity to see this many like-minded people in one circle, that there are that many little circles rolling out there.
because it's like now it's something that I think fans have waited all their lives for, that now it's okay to like Doctor Who. It's okay to be a wrestling fan. It's okay to love comic books. It's okay to be like an indie guy. It's okay to be
Because I have
like,
like-minded people with me.
yeah, and there's so much it's okay to like this TV show or that TV show, do fan fiction and all that, which is fine. It's an encouragement.
But it's socially acceptable now to be a comic book guy. You
I
know?
don't think it's 100. I think socially acceptable among like-minded people, not among. I think again, there's a trickle-down effect. If you like comics and you're in school and you're a nerd, you're gonna get harassed by, and you're still gonna get harassed by the jocks or like the bros or whatever.
Mhm.
And if you're a nerd and you don't have that mindset to overcome it, you're gonna go to Comic-Con and then you're gonna take your shit out on a girl dressed like Psylocke,
Or-
who's like, "You're a girl, get out of here," or you're just gonna be,
Or
like,
you buy a ton of guns and you shoot up a
Right.
movie theater.
Yeah.
You know, that's the extreme of this. That
There's no right answer.
yeah, like I became obsessed with the incel stuff, like the involuntary celibate people who
Mhm.
believe that there is the God-given right for a woman to surrender themselves sexually to them,
Yeah.
to keep the human race going, and that the depression is killing them,
Mhm.
and that the way that they always do is they lash out and they end up killing people.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with like these ideas of like these kind of helpful communities
Mhm.
manufacturing poor behavior.
Yeah.
Overall, like the men's feminist thing is like it's everywhere. Everywhere I go, I see the men's feminism stuff on the internet.
Mhm.
Like how come we don't have vaginas?
Yeah.
How come we don't have those too?
Yeah. No, thanks. There's a great did you watch Marin at all? No.
No.
Are you caught up? There's a great bit from the last episode that sticks into my head because like his girlfriend breaks up with him, she leaves,
Mhm.
and one of his cat leaves too. You know, so like there's like an old man at the door, and he's like, hey, like you left this in front of my. He's like a flyer for the cat.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you left this in front of my house, and he's like, so what, man? He's like, hey, get it out of here. He's like, and he curses him out, and he's like, listen, man, I've had a rough week. My cat left me. My girlfriend left me. I don't know what to do. I need some time to think. And the old man's like, get over it, you pussy, and like walks away, you know. And I think there's nobody to say that anymore. There's
Yeah.
nobody to tell society just like man up. It's not World War II anymore.
I
you
know.
know?
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the
Mhm.
there's much more of an embracing of like the beginning with the metrosexual thing,
Yeah.
where we don't have the realization of like the cold, tough cowboy man.
Mhm.
It's very much going with like my problems.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, oh, what do I?
I mean, but that's
do?
the whole millennial thing, you know. It's the entire generation where it's a lot of self entitlement and narcissism.
But I think a big point of that is coming out of the social media crap. Is
Yeah.
that you
Look
live
at me.
you live in a hungry for attention mode at all
Yeah.
times. People are getting like there's a psychological term for fear of missing out syndrome.
Yes, yeah,
like
yeah.
that's insane. Like oh my god, like I get so depressed by looking at people going out and I'm not going out. Like, what's going on here? And like the striving for attention of like getting anxiety that no one liked your friggin' Facebook post.
Right. That's a thing.
It's like new psychosis, the new hysteria that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
You're so right. And I was talking to someone about this, and she's a social media
Mhm.
consultant for companies, and she was saying how this concept of like we need more likes. We need more likes. How come people didn't like? What did we use? We used too many words. Did we use the word to? Did we use the word who? What words are triggering it?
Mhm.
That stuff has seeped into regular people now.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like now we're at the point where you have children that are being brought up at an early age with dealing with social media. Like you can I think it's cute. Like I'll give my kid a Facebook account at 5 years old, and he'll just he can like his own stuff or whatever.
I like it.
And then eventually, when he starts getting cognizant of what's going on, that's ingrained in their DNA.
Yeah.
Like when I was a baby, I cared about toys, TV, shitting,
Mhm.
and eating,
Yeah.
Boogers.
Pretty much.
boogers,
Sleeping too.
sleeping.
Ice
Very
cream.
uncomplicated life. I didn't have an iPad.
Yeah.
I didn't have Angry Birds when I was a kid. I'm not trying to sound like an old codger, but like this stuff, like all that extra stuff is just unneeded for your psyche.
Yeah. It's one thing I do like because I'm pretty active on Twitter. And like I love Twitter. I think it's fantastic. You get some good up to date stuff. You get like some
Yeah.
good news. You get like people showing like their art or whatever, and like it's
Right.
communicate with people. I dig it. But what makes me unfollow somebody is like somebody in a position of like let's say like popularity or whatever who has like a fan following that gets coddled by everybody who's like the postman's late today. What do I do? Like, and then a million people would be like, hey, why don't you do this? And blah, blah, blah. And she's like, thank you for the support. Like, I appreciate the t-shirts that you send me. Like, somebody get me this or somebody buy me that. Or like, what do I
Overreaction.
do?
Well,
about
that
this?
also that was like the first time I saw that stuff with like the pleading for attention and the this like the Amazon gift list, so
Yep.
like,
Yeah,
the wish
yeah.
list was like the cam girl stuff.
I was about to say that.
It's like that was the beginning of like you had such an attention and obsession with this girl.
Yeah.
I am so fascinated by that cam girl stuff. Like,
And that's become kind of like on the wayside at this point.
yeah, like
That's old school, man.
dude, no, it's becoming mainstream again. It's really like taken off, and I'm so fascinated by the cam girl stuff. We interviewed this girl called Ayala.
Mhm.
She's that mime. You know the mime cam girl?
No.
This
I
girl
don't follow
dressed.
the Cam Golden Rules anymore.
I went down that rabbit hole, man, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Like the people that follow her, and I interviewed her on the free for all, and she was telling me like, I was like, point blank, like, how much money do you make? She's like, on a bad week, like $1,000.
On a bad week.
And this is before she blew up, and then 4chan found her, and then like her entire career, like she's probably making maybe $4,000 a week.
We gotta be cam bros.
I know.
But I mean,
Jack off videos.
but
Turn
the
this-
chat room.
Turn this into a cam thing, man.
I would
Cam
love to. But the chat room is the most fascinating part of this
Yeah.
because they worship the girl.
Mhm.
They worship her, and then they tell them to do stuff. And then when they're like, "Listen, I'm not really in the mood," they're like, "F
They
you, you
destroy
effing
you,
whore!"
yeah.
Like they're destroyed.
Yeah.
That the girl said, "No, I'm not in the mood."
Yeah.
Like crazy. It is the most nuts thing I've ever seen. There's a documentary coming out. Someone's making a documentary on this that looks really interesting about like they're interviewing cam girls and like, what do you do in your real life?
Girls have terrible lives.
Terrible
That
lives.
they are really dirt poor. This is just getting by stuff.
Or some of them, listen, it's easy money. If you're 18 years old, you know, your judgment is a little off. If you're in a very attractive 18
Well,
year
it's
old,
easy to do. It's really in terms of like the availability of a setup. In terms of like getting it rolling is very easy. You
give
can
me $1, I'll take my top
yeah,
off.
very easily.
Yeah.
Any girl, a very attractive girl, could turn on their MacBook and become a cam girl. It's that easy.
Yeah, and they make money.
Yeah, that's
but
what
if
I'm
you're 18 and you don't want to get a summer job,
Cam girl, show your
I,
tits.
no, but honestly, like it's
Uh,
the anonymity. It'll be there for a while if you do it right.
Do you remember back in the day, Style Project?
yeah.
Yeah, like it was dirty, dark.
Yeah.
internet.
WTF people.
And that was the beginning of the Cam Whores website, which was like I was obsessed with too because it was so fascinating because they would give insight into like these wacko like goth girls' brain.
right.
And I remember this like there was a suicide thing where this one girl
Oh, yeah.
hung herself, like but it was
And the
fake.
boyfriend came in.
Yeah, but it was
and-
like it was fake, and like because she was feeling attention, and all these girls who've lost their minds and found drugs, and like it was destroying people.
Yeah.
because it was the beginnings of that public persona driving somebody crazy.
Yeah.
Because mostly, I think what people don't understand is that when you go, like, it's one thing to share with your friends and have the audience of your mildly interested, social circle, and then having a bunch of anonymous maniacs who can love you or hate you or just fuck with you.
Or
At the
make your
push-
life hell.
At the push of a button.
Yeah.
At the
Just
push
to
of a
screw with you. Like there's people like there are people who get off of them. They're usually young kids.
Yeah. It's really nuts. Tinder's another weird thing too.
Tinder's weird.
Tinder's
Tinder's dangerous.
Tinder's bananas, man. Wow. This is like the 60 Minutes edition of
Yeah,
of Behind
we're
the
doing
Counter.
This is interesting
Yeah.
stuff. It's pop. I mean, it's pop culture. It's
Yep.
stuff happening
It
on,
is,
on
it
the
is
internet.
it's unfortunately pop culture.
Well,
and we have to talk about this stuff,
especially because we're talking about a niche. We're
Mhm.
talking about niches. We're talking about interest and everything. And I think that this is such an important thing that we're looking at in terms of like, especially since we're gearing up for Comic-Con and all this. It's social circles, man.
Yeah.
These weirdo groups.
We got to do more in-depth interviews this year.
Oh yeah, I want to get the darkness.
Put together like a documentary package,
Let's do it.
some classical
Kickstart
music. I guess we can kickstart. I can just show up with my camera.
I just want money for beer and for the train.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like I know very much where our fun in Comic-Con lies. It's John being upset, and then me being really happy, and then we'll get beers and cheeseburgers, and just,
Get tired.
we'll go in. We'll bring booze in with us, and just like hang out with a bunch of Filipino dudes.
I'm gonna this year guaranteed. I'm gonna be drinking nothing but frozen pina coladas. I'm bringing a blender.
Phenomenal.
I'm gonna be like one of those the magic bullet things and just make pina coladas.
I got one at home, and it's the best thing for frizzy frozen drinks.
I had the best drink I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
This last weekend at Sister Rosetta. I went to this place in Bed-Stuy.
It
was so good. The best fried chicken I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
It's 3 different rums, white, dark, and gold.
Wow.
Where is it? Bed-Stuy?
Bed-Stuy. Yeah. Peaches. It's like all.
Oh yeah, I've heard of peaches.
yeah, southern fried food.
Yeah.
3 rums, coconut juice, pineapple juice, a little bit of cranberry, and champagne. It
Wow.
was unbelievable.
That sounds awesome.
Unbelievably refreshing.
That sounds awesome.
So delicious.
I can bring my NutriBullet. We can plug it in by where like all
And
the,
Seb a vendor.
the Korean barbecue stuff is, and just like cocktail it up, man.
That stuff is so gross.
What, the Korean barbecue?
Yeah, the back of the building.
But
That's some
again,
yummy
like
kimchi.
this year, I feel like they're tightening because from the email I got, right, which said like, "Hey, we can't approve your thing." I wrote them back saying like, "Look, man, like I've been approved for a pro pass like
Many times.
since you guys started doing this, and this is like these are my credentials again. What's the deal?" And they just like 2 days later they were like, "Hey, no problem." I didn't want to go that route, but I was just like, "Come on."
I wonder if we're gonna fall into that same problem.
There's
But
probably some intern that looked at it and said no.
but that makes me think that
They're tightening it?
they're tightening it again.
Oh, we saw it last year.
Yeah,
They have to tighten it. They have to tighten it.
Genius move last year with the scanning.
So
And-
made such a bad experience.
Can't sneak anybody in.
Yeah.
Can't do any of the underhanded stuff. Can't hop the rail.
No.
So if you're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's 10 days.
I know, man. Dude, the
We're not
city's going
doing all
crazy.
that shit.
How many days is it?
10 days.
Why?
Because
There's events in the city.
San Diego 7 days, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's an all-week affair, the setup and everything. But they're doing stuff all over the city in like 3 different locations aside from Javits to prep for it.
I'm gonna do a couple of them, man. You come
See what
with
they.
me.
Well, I want to see what they are first.
Yeah.
If it's
Do
like
some cool stuff.
If it's like movie premieres and stuff like that.
I missed one that that's like this week that I know I can't go to because I forgot to sign up for it. It was like a meet and greet like somewhere else in the city.
Meet Stanley.
And we went. I wouldn't want to.
Neither.
Well, I've seen him a bunch of times.
Oh yeah.
But we went to my wife and I a few years ago went to like this awesome like it was like 1 year where like if you had a pro pass because you're gonna get one again this year, come and meet like all these people at like an open bar thing at Bullmore Lanes. And we went and it was friggin' awesome. It was just like there wasn't that many people there. And this is also at like that weird like the valley of like Comic-Con popularity.
Right,
so this is maybe like 5 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and maybe 6. And we just went, we hung out with like Jimmy Palmiotti and
DDP.
DDP. DDP was there. But I'm looking forward to it, man.
Too many days.
It's gonna be good.
Too many days.
Who are you gonna cosplay as this year?
My Inner Demons.
Mark Maron.
Mark Maron.
Beautiful, dude.
Go to Mark Maron this year.
Let's go down the list real quick. Walking Dead,
Very good.
very good book.
Very good book.
It was a really good, solid setup issue.
Don't know where it's going.
My book of the week, which I think may be your book of the week too, Avengers.
Oh yeah, New Ventures.
Yeah,
New
New
by
Avengers.
far. That was such a solid book. I like that everything is falling apart.
Everything's really falling apart. And Namor, of course, Namor was gonna be like, "Oh, come on, guys, shut up."
Well, I like the dialogue between Tony and Reed, where it's just like everything's gonna come crashing down right now. Cap knows about us.
Yeah.
The strongest Avengers teams we've ever assembled is behind him, and it's kind of like a moment of clarity for the both of them that they've been destroying worlds for the past year or so, and they have Thanos who's about to be resurrected with 2 of his goons. Maximus is about to turn on you. The Black Swan is gonna turn on you.
Yeah. It was good. Like that moment of clarity is a good way to put it because that's Reed being like, "What did you do to her?" And Tony like, "Listen, we gotta hurry. Whatever we're doing, we gotta hurry up right now."
They're killing Reed.
And you think so?
I think they're gonna go through with the killing of Fantastic Four.
Okay. And then Reed basically being like, "Oh crap, you're right. We're too smart to think of this." And then Tony saying like, "And they have all the righteousness in the world to come after us right now."
Oh yeah.
And
B starts plotting now too at Banner, which is really dangerous.
right, exactly.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, we're both monsters. Why don't we just team up against those assholes?"
Let's go. And then I think a secondary because it's so tight right now. I think in the mutant world and like the Avengers world, it's a good mix where right after that, I feel like the all new X-Men book was up there also.
Oh yeah, you know what? That was my first read because it was available first.
Yeah.
And I love the hell out of that book. I love the backstory of the Brotherhood.
Yeah. And the reveal that Xavier's just
Brainwashing everybody except for Reyes.
right?
Yeah.
Who I think is gonna come out that he like brainwashed him
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. He's an evil Xavier with all the same powers.
Really, really crazy. And did you get a good look at the blackboard? The book starts out with like Beast's blackboard.
Death of Matt Murdock. The Baxter Building murders.
Right. What do you think that's going to be the death of Fantastic Four?
Dude, they had, I think a couple weeks ago, they had number 5, and it was like the 60th anniversary of Fantastic Four to no acclaim. And they had every page was a different artist, and John Hickman even drew. and it was like to no acclaim.
Wow.
They really did not push it at all.
You know what? I love Fantastic Four.
It's time for it to go away low.
For some reason, I'm not feeling that book, and I'm
It's Carl
behind on
Castle. That's
Yeah.
why. He is the Chuck Austin of Fantastic Four.
it. Okay,
He's
I
the
agree with
go-to
that.
guy.
Let's do some filler.
Yeah.
I
Hate the suits. Hate the red suits.
don't mind it so much, but it's hard to come back from that Hickman run. Hickman would have been the guy to kind of put him down
Yeah.
for a little bit, you
Yeah.
know, and then have somebody else come and take over the reins.
Just
You know.
focus on the kids after this.
Yeah.
Have a bunch of orphans running around.
well,
Just-
the FF stuff was perfect because it worked in conjunction with
Right.
whatever else they were doing.
right.
And that's over.
That's over.
So, you know, what do you got left? But the Avengers, I highly recommend all the Avengers stuff now that's going on. 'Cause
Mhm.
it's really bananas.
It's a good story. New Avengers is I love books like that, conspiracy and a bunch of gray morals.
And all new X-Men too. I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Because it's
and Uncanny as well on top of that. But all new X-Men is always surprising.
and
always
it's
good.
it's really crazy with all the time travel stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And who would have thought that a book about the original X-Men joining anything would be a good story?
There's a key in that book too where Xavier says like, "Oh yeah, like this is what you did and you can never fix it."
Oh, with his brain's all messed up from the time travel.
Right.
Because I think that Beast is the old school, like the original Team Beast that went back in time.
Okay.
I think Hank is dead,
Mhm.
and this is the young Beast,
That's an interesting
and just
theory.
mutated and weird and just messed up.
Okay. That's really
Or
interesting.
maybe they meld. Maybe they try and figure out how to combine these.
Because
two
he's
guys.
only half a gremlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said his mind's all messed up. They can't really remember stuff.
See, that's kind of interesting because I didn't think of that. Because it makes sense in the long run because it's supposed to be what, like 25 years later or whatever?
Yeah,
18 years later?
yeah, something like It's a good amount of time that's passed. He hasn't looked like he's that much older.
Right.
I think that what's his name? I think something's gonna bad happen to that entire team. I think that's why Beast is there.
Mhm.
Because did you see that 8 months later ad they put out?
No.
You know, New Avengers and Avengers are going to the future 8 months, and then every issue behind that's going to go another month in the back to show you how we got this.
Uh-huh.
And the team, they showed a new an Avengers team, all new lineup, and they had the new Avengers, Illuminati, and like Thanos is the leader. Thanos was the leader. And like Namor's and Team Maximus, like all those other goons,
Uh-huh.
all the bad guys on the new Alami.
I love it, man.
New Alami.
New Alami, the
New
new
Alami.
salami.
The new salami.
All right. Let's wrap it up.
I'm so hot.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Counter. It got a little heavy today. I'm Rich Stambolian.
We're always heavy.
Later.